Okay, this video is designed to give you an overview of how teachers and students will spend their time in the English Learner Digital Fraction Camp. Because teachers would reasonably ask me, okay, what will we be doing for 7 days? And what will our students be doing? So this is an attempt to show you, hopefully explain to you what's going to be happening. Okay, there will be two kinds of days. The first kind is teacher-only days. That will be days 1 and 2. What I haven't mentioned already is this is a 7-day camp. So days 1 and 2 will be for teachers only. That's July 27th and 28th. And on those days when no students are attending, you will have 2 whole group meetings for a total of 60 minutes. And during those whole group meetings, either those will be at the beginning and the end of the day. At the beginning of the day is to give you an overview of the day's activities and prepare you for the concepts that we're about to engage in. Then you'll have 2 breakout sessions, each of 45 minutes for a total of 90 minutes. And in those breakout sessions, you will engage in an activity that is a student activity. You'll do 2 things. You'll familiarize yourself with the activity, and there's no way to do that except to actually engage in it. And you will also make comments with each other as to the pedagogy of the activity that you're engaged in. So you'll really put on your student hat and say, what will students be doing in this activity? And you'll put on your teacher hat and say, I'm thinking like a teacher now, how will this be affecting my students? So your breakout sessions are really important because it's really difficult to teach something if you haven't done it. There'll be 2 breaks, of course, and a lunch totaling an hour altogether. There'll be 2 team collaboration sessions. That's 60 minutes each for a total of 2 hours. And those team collaboration sessions are designed to give you built-in time to the day where you kind of, in your mind, wrap around in your mind everything that we've done for that day and begin to plan for next year. There will also be 2 interactive presentations. That's where I will be presenting to you concepts that we're going to be using during the day. Okay, the total of your workday will be 7 hours. Out of that, 2 of those 7 hours will be collaboration sessions where you'll have prep time with your team. So here's a detail of what the teacher-only schedules look like. In the morning, as I said, the half-hour group meeting is to introduce the day's activities. Then we have our first breakout session where we engage in the first task. You'll be doing this with your teams. For example, one task in the morning will be Gracie and Friends Lemonade Stand. Then you'll take a break. Then at 10:30 we'll come together for the first topic in our interactive presentation. And that topic on that day will be concrete manipulatives to pictorial representations. I'll be doing an interactive meeting during that time, explaining to you concrete manipulatives, how you might use them, and how they transition to pictorial representations. Then we'll take lunch. Then after lunch, 12 to 1, there's an optional Q&A time or team collaboration time. I'll keep an open session for Q&A, and you can join it or leave it at your discretion. So if you had a question or a comment and you'd just like a quick answer, you can pop in for 5 minutes, ask me a question, and then go back to your team collaboration time. The Q&A is completely optional, but I want to give you the option because as you're working on your plans, you may come up with questions. Then at 1 o'clock, we come back to another interactive meeting. And during this particular interactive meeting, I will talk about visual representations. All right. Then we have another break. And then in the afternoon, we have our second task that we'll work on. That one will be Fogstone Island. That's a really cool activity. But it's complex and sophisticated, and there's no way for you to understand it except to do it. And once you do it, then we'll have an afternoon group meeting where we'll debrief on the day's activities. You could, of course, ask questions during that time, maybe kind of put a cap on the day. And then at 3:30 to 4:30, you are released to team collaboration and prep time. Now, we won't meet again after 4:30 until the next day, but during the 3:30 to 4:30 time, again, you have the option to Q&A. I'll keep an open session, and you can pop in for as little time as you'd like to get a quick question answered, or to leave or stay in for an extended period of time, maybe a discussion back and forth. That's what your detail will look like on both days 1 and 2. Again, it's 7 hours, but I hope that you can see that there's going to be basically 2 out of the 7 hours will be what I'll call interactive meeting time, where I'm presenting some ideas, 2 hours. And then 2 hours where you're working collaboratively with your team to prepare materials for next year. And the rest of and then you'll have 2 45-minute sessions where you're working on tasks to kind of deeply familiarize yourself with the tasks at hand. All right. Then the other kind of day will be teacher-student days. Now on these days, 3 through 7, that's July 29th through August 2nd, students will join us, but they won't join us for the entire day. Here's what students will do during the day. They'll have 2 whole group meetings for a total of an hour. They'll have 2 activity times for a total of 90 minutes, and they'll have 1 small group question and answer time for 30 minutes. The rest of their day is spent in lunch and movement breaks. They'll be working for a total of 3 hours, which is quite a bit, but it's broken up and they've got breaks in there. I'll show you the details. So this is what the students' detail looks like. They'll start at 10:15 and go into their first morning meeting, which, by the way, will be run by teachers, obviously. Then at 10:45, after the first morning meeting, during that first morning meeting, the teachers, and let me just take a moment and step back here. We're going to have a large group meeting here where there will be 15 to 20 students in each meeting and 2 to 4 teachers facilitating those meetings. We'll run 3 to 4 sessions concurrently, so there's no single session that all the students will be in, because we'll probably have in the neighborhood of 30 to 60 students. And as the teachers facilitate, those 2 teachers in that large group discussion, they'll have 2 to 4 teachers. 2 of the teachers will be the primary instructors. So this is the time where you'll be doing the teaching, the direct instruction, or the facilitating of understanding. And 2 teachers will be observers. Now your roles will reverse daily, so you won't be stuck in one role or the other. So maybe that wasn't clear. Let me clarify it. Your first session, 30 minutes, is when you do the teaching. You'll be facilitating with a partner teacher a group of students of around 15 to 20 kids. And 2 other teachers will be observing. Then we have a student activity designed for students that will be related to what you taught them in that morning group meeting. They're going to do the activity. You will be there to facilitate or answer questions as necessary. All right. Then students have lunch. They have a long lunch. In fact, they have a 90-minute lunch. They return to, again, a guided small group instruction. Again, this is where teachers do the teaching. This will be a small group teaching session, however. Then they'll take a movement break, and then their afternoon activity, which is like the morning activity. The morning activity is based on the whole group instruction that they got, and the afternoon activity is based on the small group instruction that they got. Then another movement break, and then a final afternoon meeting to debrief. Students will debrief with teachers and be set free for the day. That's what a student's day looks like. It takes up 5 hours from 10:15 to 3:15, but they're only working 3 hours of it. And as you can see, they never have more than about an hour and 15 minutes of consecutive work. In fact, the hour and 15 minutes is really that first stretch, and then they get a long lunch. Then they get a 30-minute followed by a break, then another 45-minute followed by a break, and then a 30-minute. So I don't think we're overtaxing these kids. They need to get ready to do this. What will teachers do? Okay, so teachers will have 3 group meetings with other teachers, 90 minutes altogether. They'll have 2 student activity times. Remember the student activities. They'll have 1 breakout session. That's with students. And 1 student small group session. They'll have 4 movement breaks. They have to facilitate those breaks. Well, to be honest, those will be done online, so it's really just extra breaks for teachers. And then a lunch and 2 team collaborative sessions. That's a total of 7 hours, so that's how your day will look. Now here's the details for the teachers. From 10:15 to 3:15, it's identical as the student day, because remember 10:15 to 3:15 is the student day. But what teachers will do in the morning before students come is they'll have a morning group meeting that'll be facilitated by me, introduction to the day's activities, and then transition as quickly as possible into your morning breakout session where you as a team will work on your first lesson, preparing. Then take a break and students arrive. In the afternoon, students will be in lunch from 12 to 1, but you'll have one of your optional Q&A times or team collaboration prep time. So remember, students have that extended 90-minute lunch, but you don't get that because you're not a student. You get that 60 minutes of optional Q&A time. I'll have the session open. You can pop in and ask a question or just make a comment. Oh, my students didn't do this, or it was terrible, or I really loved this part and the students were great at it, whatever. Or you can just spend time in team collaboration. Then remember, at 1 o'clock the students come back. You'll be guiding them in their small group activity, afternoon break, and activity again, and another break, and their final student group meeting. After that's over, we take a break, and then we have our optional Q&A or team collaboration time to close out the day. And that's what your day will look like on days 3 through 7. Okay, I hope this has helped. I'm really looking forward to, by the way, I just want to say, this is the planned schedule, and if at any time during this camp we decide that we need to modify it, it's designed to be modified. But I feel like if I don't have a schedule, then we don't have a plan, and we can't be on track. So nothing's written in stone, but got to have a plan. So that's the plan. I hope it helps you to understand what the goals are and how we're going to use our time. It provides you, I think, with a lot of preparation time. In fact, 2 out of our 7 hours every day is for preparation. And on the first 2 days, 2 out of the 7 hours is for instruction from me. And in the other days, 3 through 7, about 3 of your hours will be spent instructing students. All right, that's it.